Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the compassionate and benevolent. May peace be on the faithful prophet. President, the delegation of Algeria should like to thank you and express to you our gratitude for meeting our joint request submitted by the Arab Group and the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, OIC. We requested an emergency extraordinary session of the General Assembly following the failure of the Security Council to genuinely protect the United Nations Charter and failure to protect the principles and purposes contained therein, a failure to protect international peace and security. So, here we are, once again, speaking before this inclusive United Nations body to offset and compensate the Security Council's inability to afford the necessary protection to the Palestinian people and to confront all of the terrible things which are raining down on the Gaza Strip, which is mourning. Once again, we're having recourse to the General Assembly owing to the paralysis of the Security Council, the Security Council's inability to shoulder its responsibilities and obligations vis-à-vis the Palestinian cause, following its failure to act to dissuade the occupying power, Israel, to prevent its tyranny, its domination, its failure to protect Palestinians to protect civilians in Palestine, specifically in the Gaza Strip. Here we are, yet again, having recourse to the General Assembly in order to ensure justice is done for the Palestinian people, to ensure that their just cause is upheld. We are here to ensure respect for their legitimate aspirations to a national sovereign state. For this people, a people whose rights were stolen from them, a people who, nevertheless, have the resolve to resist. The land of these people was seized. Their property has been destroyed. And yet, they remain determined to impose their presence. This determination has not wavered. These people, their requests have been ignored. And yet they are tenacious and resilient. They will continue defending their rights. The Palestinian people has paid and continues to pay a very heavy price. And it can only be paid by those fighting for a noble, lofty cause, an inalienable cause, which is part and parcel of a national project. The complicity and the shirking of the responsibility of the Security Council, this is something we've said on numerous occasions over the last 70 years. We've seen a vicious cycle over and over, which cannot and has not been broken, despite its ramifications and all of the damage it's done, consistently, repeatedly. Today, much like in the past, we are bearing witness to the following. The same causes, the same consequences, terrible consequences, unbridled Israeli occupation, the most abominable, the most heinous crimes, no definitive or lasting and just solution to the Palestinian cause, a lack of solutions, and this is having the following consequences. Peace, security, and stability in this part of the world is being held hostage. The Palestinian people can't go on any longer. They're fed up with these double standards. They can't put up any longer with the non-constructive, unjustified understanding And in fact, the Israeli occupying power is making the most of this situation. The worst of it is that the Palestinian people are suffering. They're suffering from the international community's indifference vis-à-vis the injustices, the oppression, the tyranny that they've been subjected to. We're telling the Palestinians that when the situation calms down, that their cause is not a priority for the international community. And yet when Palestine is victim to attacks, all of the efforts that are undertaken, and they're modest, they're few and far between, all of the efforts are directed to addressing the consequences of an absence of peace instead of working towards peace. An entire generation of Palestinians has never experimented with the path to, has never experienced the path to peace. An entire generation hasn't seen a single serious initiative targeted towards getting back on that path. A whole generation of Palestinians which hasn't seen a single instance of international action geared towards addressing the situation, responding to their legitimate aspirations to restore their freedom, to put an end to the occupation of their land, allowing Palestinians to exercise their rights and create an independent state. Isn't it high time that we resolve this situation, which constitutes a violation of the values and principles our organization cherishes? Isn't it time that we put paid to this historical injustice which these people are being subjected to? People who can no longer continue fighting this haughty, arrogant, occupying power. Isn't it time that we start a large-scale international movement for peace, in the name of peace? A movement that can rekindle hope among Palestinians. A serious and honest movement which could help uphold the national, inalienable, and non-time-barred rights of the Palestinian people. Rights which cannot be rescinded. The situation in the occupied Palestinian territory requires us to act swiftly, urgently, to put an end to the Israeli aggression, which is unjust. It's unjust vis-à-vis the Gaza Strip. We must aid the Palestinian people, afford them international protection. We need to take collective action with the involvement of all influential international parties. This action must be effective so that we can achieve fair and lasting peace in the Middle East on the basis of international documents, adopted documents which have international legitimacy. Our General Assembly has always been the rostrum from which we fight for just causes. First and foremost, the Palestinian cause. Under these very taxing circumstances, it's up to the General Assembly to reaffirm its fixed principles within a fair framework and as part of its commitment to uphold the legal pillars so as to allow for an independent and fully sovereign Palestinian state. From this vantage point, Algeria would like to reiterate its call for fully fledged membership to be conferred upon that brother state, Palestine, thereby enshrining the legal, political, moral, and ethical rights of the state of Palestine, so that this state can raise its voice in the community of nations and be heard, so that it can defend its priorities. This is a decisive measure vis-à-vis attacks aimed at undermining, disfiguring Palestinians. Palestine, which is being buried alive but which refuses to perish. This is an important goal from a strategic standpoint as well. We must use all means at our disposal, use every opportunity offered to us by the General Assembly, this forum. The General Assembly can, in fact, play a key determining role so as to achieve this lofty objective. And in fact, by meeting this objective, we can strengthen the key pillars of the Palestinian national project. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
This has been the Nod News Network. Transmission complete.